Hello everyone, it's Mike Batt here again, and I'm here to do another BATT-CHAT thing where I just talk to you. And the trick that I've sort of found works, well, it works for me anyway, it may not work for you, is that I don't even think about what I'm going to talk about until I press the little button on my phone. Actually today I've sneakily also put my computer on, which I think that's that computer over there, not this one over here, which you might think I'm talking into. I have a computer over here. It doesn't have a camera, so I've used my phone. And over here there's one that is I use for Zoom and stuff, so I'm recording that, and you never know, I might cut a second camera angle in, you never know, and that'll be really exciting, won't it? You know, cinematographically and everything. But okay, so usually the easiest thing for me to roll into talking about is kind of, you know, instrumentation, production, that kind of stuff, and I will do that. But I do remember somebody asked me to talk about lyrics, and it's the most difficult thing to do off the cuff because I'm bound to forget the lyrics I'm talking about. Talking about other people's lyrics is hard because I remember them even less than I remember my own. Oh, I should look at that part of I think if I look at that part of the phone, which is unnatural, it's the left part of it, it looks as if I'm looking at you, which I hopefully am now. So anyway, yeah, lyrics. I think a lot of people think of me as a composer, and that's because I'm sitting at a piano now, actually, just to prove it. None of which proves I'm a composer, but it proves that I'm sitting at the piano. Actually, it doesn't. I could be pressing a button, and maybe this is where I had to cut to the side, and you'll have been able to see that that shot. Who cares? Anyway, so lyrics. I'm going to use my own lyrics because lyrics are different for everybody, and so if I use my own lyrics, I'll be able to express or tell you about how I constructed them, why I constructed them. You know, whether it was a director of a film asked me to, or whether I did it because I wanted to, just for an album. And the emotions behind them, even if maybe they're emotionless. I can't think for a moment of a song I've written which is emotionless, unless it was for 0-0, which of course is, well, not of course, but for those who don't know, there's an album I made about a land where emotion and love were a thing of the past, generationally had been obliterated. And so there are some, intentionally unemotional lyrics in that. Maybe we'll even go there. Well, I suppose that does spark off a thought, which is that there are really two kinds of song in my mind, just for the moment. I'm not saying there are just two kinds of songs in the world, but there are two kinds of song in my mind to talk to you about in terms of lyrics. One is where somebody says to you, would you please write a song for this movie, this scene in this movie. It happens less and less these days because music supervisors tend to think, oh, I like that song, I'll use it in the film. Whereas definitely I've been asked on several occasions to write a song for a particular movie, but not even just for a particular movie, but for a particular scene in a movie. So, I mean, for example, Caravans was a big budget, big desert movie. It never became one of those great big films that everyone knows, but the music of it was my big break as a film composer. If the film had done well, maybe I'd have been offered quite a lot more of the big films, but sadly the film was kind of good. It looked brilliant. It had a fabulous sort of desert landscape. It had Anthony Quinn, it had Jennifer O'Neill, it had stars in it. It was beautifully shot. They changed around the story a bit, and so James Michener's novel was kind of not really adhered to in terms of the story. In fact, he sued them. But it was, as I say, when I was 27, it was my big wow. I've arrived. The shortlist for the film was John Barry, Michel Legrand, and Maurice Jarre, the father of Jean-Michel Jarre, who wrote many film scores, including Lawrence of Arabia, of course. And I was just the sort of fourth one on the list. and I sort of begged them to let me have a go and at least try something. And so anyway, it's about this girl. And so this is the point I'm making. It's about a girl who goes off into the desert to get away from her humdrum life as she sees it, and the husband that she doesn't really love. She goes away, she runs away to Afghanistan. You know, that could be judged either way, morally, you know, that's not what we're here for. But the fact is, I just better go back to why I say there are two kinds of song. There's a sort of song where you're asked, would you please write a song for this reason, this purpose? And then there's that other kind of song where you just think, I've just got to write a song about the way I feel. And how can I say this without sounding as if I'm saying I'm good? If you do the best work, the one you're asked to write by the director of the film should be as good as the one you feel because you just have to write it. And why I say that is that when you're writing lyrics, even actually when you're composing tunes, because you're putting whatever, if it's melancholy or power, whatever it might be, you're an actor. You're being an actor. You are one of the actors in the film. You could say the score is one of the actors in the film, but I'm saying the composer, particularly of the song, if it's more than one, has a duty to that character, and you have to act the character. So I had to pretend to be a girl in 60 something, going off into the desert, searching for essentially freedom. And she falls in love with a couple of different people actually. And so the main emotion though was, I want to get away. It's sort of looking for adventure, but it's more she's maybe looking for herself. And so I went to, I remember I went to Munich, where they were editing at Bavaria Film Studios. And they put me up in a hotel, and I got an electric piano, not unlike this one. And I wrote a song, and it wasn't this song. It was, excuse me, I'm undampening myself again. This is, I said last time, my patented undampener. It's a tissue. It's only because of the lights are being a bit bright. Well, they're always being bright, those lights. I really must have a chat with them. Anyway, so I had to get the song. You're acting the song. You're acting this person's. So you have to sing it from the person's heart. Even the person's fictitious. Jennifer O'Neill got offered a script, and it was to play this part. So she obviously had to inhabit the part, and so I had to inhabit the part too in writing the song. So it starts off in a sort of very much a songy, starty sort of way with the early light is breaking, the morning sun is, remember the chords, waiting in the sky, and I think I'm gonna break away and follow where the birds of freedom fly. So it sets up the song. You're actually literally painting a picture. The early light is breaking, the morning sun is waiting in the sky. That's almost an internal rhyme. Breaking and waiting, of course, don't rhyme, but because it's an internal rhyme, I'll forgive myself. We must talk about perfect and not so perfect rhymes, because it's not such a terrible crime. It's lovely to get perfect rhymes, but if you don't and you get the meaning right, it's more important, I think. But anyway, so the early light is breaking, the morning sun is waiting in the sky, and I think I'm going to break away and follow where the birds of freedom fly. Well, if you just said the phrase, the birds of freedom fly, it sounds a bit corny, doesn't it? But in the song, it sort of fits, because these weren't the words I finished up with. And in fact, I just wrote this verse while I was in the hotel room and played it to them, and they liked it, but they didn't have a chorus. And of course, in those days, every film producer wanted the wanted the name of their film in the title. So I had to, they didn't say I had to, but it felt right to try and get Caravans into, just like they do with Bond film, or used to with Bond films, now so much Now not so much, but in the old days, if you were asked to write a Goldfinger, you had to write Goldfinger. That was what you had to do. Diamonds Are Forever. It had to have Diamonds Are Forever. Sometimes those restrictions are great because they make you write differently from what you'd have been written if you'd just been told to write any song that meant something to do with the plot. Anyway, so I've got the early light is breaking, the morning sun is waiting in the sky. I think this is not my key to sing. And I think I'm gonna break away and follow where the birds of freedom fly. Here we are so far. I need to give. Because later on she says I need to leave. But I don't want to say it yet because I want to build up to that. That's in the second verse. The first verse, I need to give. Here comes the important one. I need to live. The world is slowly turning and the lights of love are burning in my eyes. So something must rhyme with eyes. So what goes back to that? The early light is breaking, morning sun is waiting in the sky. Sky, you see? That's what it is. Think I'm gonna break away, follow where the birds of freedom fly. I need to breathe, give, I need to live. In my eyes. So I've committed the mortal sin of adding a plural against a singular. But there I've got what I've just realised is I used three rhymes. Sometimes it's good to deliberately use three rhymes in three lines, one after the other. It's a good little trick to make it sound, particularly resonant and put the point across. But so I hadn't realised that it burning in my eyes. Of course, it is a rhyme with in the sky, and it isn't a perfect rhyme. So my apologies to the god of rhyming, the goddess of rhyming, or the gods of rhyming if it's plural, which you can't rhyme with God, of course. Anyway, I did have in mind. Did you spot the edit? That I had a chorus in mind by that time, which was Caravans, oh my soul is on the run overland. I am flying caravans, moving out into the sun. Oh, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. Whatever. So, what's the most important line? I always say to any songwriter who brings a song to me that I'm working with them. I remember when we used to call me the song doctor when Katie Melliwer and I started working together. And, sometimes she would write a song with certain ideas in it, and I might say, well, yeah, that's great, what's it called? And if a songwriter can't actually tell you what the song's called, I say, okay, well, play it again and tell me what it's called after you play it again. And it wouldn't be I'm not talking just about Katie, I'm talking about other people I work with all the time. And usually, if I was the sort of professor of songwriting at some Ponzi place of learning, I'd say, if you can't tell me what the song is called, don't play it to me, because it's got to be called something hooky. And I actually prefer the hook to be the title. It means a lot to be able to say, the song's called Caravans. Actually, this is called Caravans Song, so I've broken my own rule. But anyway, Caravans, it's a major chord. That it cuts to a point in the film where the caravan is heading off with its camels and its donkeys and everything off into the sunshine and the sand dunes and everybody tinkling their cooking pots and stuff like that. And you just get this idea of positivity. Caravans. She's decided that not only is she going to go, she's going to go. and you get that positivity. Oh, my soul is on the run. Well, that's an important line in terms of what the meaning is. And overland I am flying. Well, of course, overland is because it's a caravan, and it's not some. This is not a sort of dreamy song where I can just make up anything. I can't just say I'm flying. So I have to explain that it's overland. That's what the caravan of camels that she's joined is going overland. And so overland I'm flying. Caravans moving out into the sun. Again, another positive thought. Oh, I don't know. Here's the little bit of doubt that I wanted to. It's not doubt, it's positivity actually. I don't know where I'm going, which you think is negative, and then except, but I'm going. The most important thing to this girl is she's going somewhere. Doesn't matter where, really. She doesn't know where she's going, but she's going. She hopes it'll be somewhere good. But the good thing about it is it isn't where she is now or was yesterday. To me, the point was that's the most important line in the song. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. It's not a bad mantra for life, I think, although you have to be careful because you might end up somewhere you didn't want to be. But anyway, the second verse you often use as a lyricist. Let's say someone hauled me in, they're a composer, they want a lyric. It doesn't happen very often. It happened with Andrew Lloyd Webber on Phantom of the Opera, for the Phantom of the Opera song. No other songs on that musical but that one. Before there was a musical, by the way. But I don't usually get asked to be a lyricist, just a lyricist. And I kind of like it that way, although I'd love to be hired as a lyricist sometimes, because people who only hire lyricists, people who are only lyricists are usually the ones that get pulled in to write lyrics for things, because that's what they set up their stall to do. Whereas if you write lyrics, even if you write just as good lyrics as the people who just write lyrics, I'm not saying I do, I'm just saying if you did, then you're thought of as a songwriter that's not just a lyricist for hire. So you don't get asked quite as often to provide lyrics for, let's say, a movie or whatever. But anyway, so I had a second verse, which isn't in the film, funny enough, but I wanted to make it work for the single. I wanted a single record out, as we all did. The single did quite well, actually. There's a story to why it didn't do better than it did, which is a politically dastardly record company story, which I'm not going to go into now. But I think it would have gone to number one had certain things not happened. But anyway, there you go. It got to about number 40 something, I think. And someone will correct me on that. Anyway, second verse goes, I wish I had the wisdom to find some simple words to make you see. This isn't the key I'm used to playing it in. I wish I had the wisdom to find some simple words to make you see the things that mean a lot to you don't always seem to mean a lot to me. I need to leave. No, breathe. Sorry. Breathe comes before leave. I need to breathe. I need to leave. That's the big announcement to the guy she's leaving. There's never a scene, by the way, where she confronts him. He's not even in the movie. When the sands of time go drifting by, I may be on my own, but I'll be free. Caravans. So that's explaining. Very often you get the first verse to set everything up and lead into the reason for the chorus. And then if you're lucky enough to get a second verse, which we didn't get in the movie because they had to have it was a shorter scene than that. If you can have a second verse, you can put more detail into why. And I wish I had the wisdom to find a simple some simple words to make you see that the things that mean a lot to you don't always seem to mean a lot to me. It's such a normal thing to think. How many people have thought that when they're trapped in maybe a relationship that they don't want to be in? And I think I wanted to say it in a gentle way, so it wasn't like, fuck you, I'm not going to be with you anymore. It's like, I wish I could explain to you, it's almost like saying it's my fault, which is the sort of, almost a jokey way that comedians have set up, is that it's my fault, that I'm leaving you. But it's a cliche thing. But in this case, I wish I had the wisdom. It adds the humility into the statement, which is then made to find some simple words to make you see that. I think I'm starting to patronize you by going over it again, because you completely get probably why it means what it does. But I need to breathe. I put that in the. I could have put I need to leave, I need to breathe, but that doesn't. That's giving the solution before the problem. So it's better to set up the problem first. I need to breathe. I need to leave. That's my reason for leaving. And then the ultimate overall thing, which is to herself or anybody, when the sands of time go drifting by, I may be on my own, but I'll be free. Caravans, and then very positive, and I put a massive, great big orchestra behind it so that these trumpets are sort of going, caravans, moving out into the sun. And you get this really powerful thing of this woman who's breaking out. To me, it's one of the most powerful songs I've ever written. So why did I suddenly pick it? I suppose it was because I think that, but and I've never really, when I said that, and when I just went into that chorus then, I've never really thought of it like that, as being one of the strongest songs I think most powerful. What is power? Power in this case is freedom. She's letting herself free. She's setting herself free, and that's what that lyric is about. I've always known it was about that, but I've never felt, funnily enough, until I did this little talk to you now, I've never felt quite so emotional about that feeling of freedom that she achieves. Wow, isn't that incredible? That only by making this little BATT-CHAT type of thing, I've ended up realizing that there's almost a welling up kind of power in that last chorus of I'm setting myself free. I see I've done 24 minutes and 38 seconds, which if I cut out the bit that I didn't like, probably be shorter. Anyway, I think I need undampening again, because these lights aren't behaving themselves. They're staying exactly as they were when I set them up. So, what else? What other lyrics can we talk about? Should we have one that was a proper hit? Like, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is, of course, Bright Eyes, the rabbit in the room. And that, of course, well, here's the thing about that. You know what? This ought to be my BATT-CHAT episode about directorial request songs, because just as somebody asked me to write about Caravans, somebody also asked me to write about this rabbit that died. But of course, it's based on people. The whole book of Watership Down is an analogy for really for people who are on a journey to find a new home. And one of them is that Hazel, who's the lead rabbit, is a guy rabbit, even though Hazel is to us as humans is a girl's name, but for some reason he's called Hazel after the nut, of course. And anyway, so I'm guessing you know the song, but it's the thing about this song was that the director said to me, "I want you to write a song about death." And I thought, oh God, really? I went home and I thought for about 3 days. I sat and my piano. I walked around the garden, the room, you know, did all the usual things you do. I couldn't think. I thought this is going to be hard, but I didn't overthink it. I thought, well, I know I'll get it. And it then struck me after probably about a day, I should have thought, that it's probably the most important thing we all think about ever, which is what happens when you die. It's at a point in the film where this rabbit has died. Now, I know you're going to be thinking to yourself, well, how could you pretend to be a rabbit to think about being dead and stuff? Well, of course I didn't pretend to be a rabbit. There's another rabbit called Fiver who has this premonition that Hazel has been killed, I think he's shot by a farmer. But he isn't actually dead. Or it might be in a snare, I'm not sure, forgotten. That's not very good, is it? If they ask me on one of the shows, like, what's that Brain of Britain thing, where you have to, specialist subjects, and they say, was he shot or was he in a snare? I wouldn't know, would I? Anyway, so they think he's dead. So what the big thing is, what happens when you die? And the minute I thought that, I thought, wow, I've got a subject. I sat down at the piano, and I once heard Paul Simon say, when asked that thing, oh, what comes first, the lyrics or the music? And the answer is different in every case, with every songwriter and every song in my case. But very often, sometimes I'll sit on a plane and write the whole lyrics to a thing I don't know the tune of yet. And then I'll go to the piano when I get home and write the tune. That happens very, very rarely. But best times when you're sitting at the piano and you think, bright eyes, burning like fire. Oh, that's good. And write that down. And there I'm getting the tune at the same time as the lyrics, because bright eyes, I was thinking, how can I say death? Can't say your eyes have gone dead. That's horrible. So what's the antithesis of that description? It was, well, bright eyes. And then you ask the question, burning like fire, bright eyes, how can you close and fail? How can the light that burns so brightly suddenly burn so pale? Bright eyes. So you've got this longing to know where your friend has gone, what's happened. And so the acting in that, of course, is you're acting the place of someone in that script. It happens to be Fiver, this rabbit that thinks his friend is dead. What happens when you die? And then, of course, it just became me asking the question. I'm asking, what happens? I still don't know, of course. Maybe I'll find out one day. Well, I definitely will find out one day, but whether it's any use to me or not, we'll soon know, because I'll either be conscious enough to know what happened, or I won't be, in which case it won't matter. But the point of the song, of course, is to wonder. Is that wondering? And here, the other thing about that song is, because it was commissioned by a director for a film, the film was from the viewpoint of the rabbits, and they don't have language. I mean, they have got weird words for things like a motor car, which is a hrududu. I had to use words which are of nature. I couldn't use words like nuclear reactor. Not that I would in a song like that. Maybe I would if it was about a scientist thinking it. But I had to use words that were kind of woodland words, words that rabbits would know about. Not the words, but the things. So there's a high wind in the trees, a cold sound in the air. And you can't say, and just past Tesco's where they have that big bicycle shop. Because, you know, rabbits don't think about things like that. They think about wood, land, water, wet rain, things that are natural. So your vocabulary is limited in a way. But often when look at those pictures behind me, they're limited by the frame that they're in. And of course, the artists would have chosen that size frame. And they're not limited by them. Okay, I suppose you could say if you swung the frame a bit to the right, like a camera, you might have been able to got a bit more of that hill. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But I think sometimes the limitations give you extra freedom to think of things which you wouldn't have otherwise thought of. Now, if I could have put shoe cleaner in it, I might have put shoe cleaner in it, and which would have spoilt the song completely. So the fact that I had to write about a high wind in the trees, following the river of death downstream, or is it a dream? There's a fog along the horizon. A lot of people ask me what a foggle is. Of course, a fog along the horizon. I'm also thinking filmically here because of the beautiful paintings of fog and horizons. So, you know, you've got plenty of inspiration in nature to write a song like that. Anyway, I seem to have overstayed my welcome because I like to keep these. I'm starting to get into a habit of doing sort of half an hour chats, and I've already done 33 minutes and 28 seconds. So I hope I haven't overstayed my welcome. If I have, I'm sure you'll have switched me off by now. So, oh yeah, I know, I said this on the first one because I forgot. Make sure you hit the, subscribe button. So it doesn't cost you anything. It just means that we know you vaguely like it or you want to hear about any more other. Is there some sort of system where you get notified for new ones? Anyway, when they come up, please hit like if you liked it. And if you have anything constructive to say, as opposed to, you know, get lost, I hated it. But actually, say that if you want. Anyway, that's it. So this is me saying, this is Mike BATT, in case you don't know who I am, saying goodbye, see you next time, and that is the end.